Air conditioning serviced 2014 B&W 740i twin turbo. 2017. We're going to be doing 600 grams. Now, always look for problems. Before you just get out your gauge, you don't just hook up, you look for things visually. Now, if I was going to look for a leak, I already know off the bat, I'm going to have a hard time. Because if you look really carefully, this car barely even has dust on it. It's really, really clean. So this has been steam cleaned. So your evidence for finding little oil leaks or possibly even washed away the dye could all be gone. So your visuals might have been erased. But what you see on here, what do you see on here? I'm looking at something that you guys probably, I've done this before. On the 740i, this is the first model I've seen on the 740i. This is a receiver dryer. This is a high side fitting. Let's take a look right here. We have a liquid to liquid plate heat exchanger or gas to liquid plate heat exchanger. So then we have somewhere buried where you can't see it, there's an expansion valve on that item somewhere. So what aren't we going to find on this vehicle? Since we have a plate heat exchanger and you see the liquid line, and there is right, can you see my finger? Right, connected right there. Can't see it in the camera really. That's the vapor discharge line off the compressor. So what we're not going to have is a condenser in the front. There'll be no condenser. What you see, I believe, unless I'm talking, unless they have a second item out here I don't know about. This model 740i, I have not seen before. But from what I'm used to seeing before is when B&W has this plate heat exchanger with the receiver dryer, this is your refrigerant condensing. This is your refrigerant heat to heat exchanger right here. And then it'll go to a glycol loop. And then this glycol loop, as you see, I'm following this liquid line filled with glycol. And it's coming all the way over here. Goes into a glycol heat exchanger to exchange the heat. So all your AC high side is being condensed and subcooled inside this plate heat exchanger right here. Now here's another thing. What did I notice over here? Hey, look at here. We're missing the low side fitting right there. That fitting is missing. So somebody has been in here. They got their little dirty hands in there and they touch stuff. I don't like it when people touch. Don't touch my AC. God damn it. I'm gonna put your nuts in a vise. All right, let's get in. Okay, so I'm feeling for oil to see if somebody was like checking for refrigerant. They take off the cap and they hit a screwdriver down there or something. They make a squirt. So there's no oil, it's dry. And when I look at this really carefully, the aluminum has a oxidation color on it, like an etching, like an acid etching, or in this case it's probably a base etching, an alkaline cleaner. So somebody cleaned this engine compartment off with one of those cleaners and it etches the aluminum, and I could see the streaks from where they sprayed it. It ran down and it bit into the surface of the aluminum. So yeah, this has been cleaned really good at one time. So this is, I've hooked up no equipment. I haven't turned this vehicle on or anything. This is just by observation of visual only. So I know I'm not gonna come out here and I'm not gonna be looking for oil leaks on a condenser. I'm not gonna be using a leak detector. I'm not gonna be using a UV dye light because there's no condenser. It's a liquid glycol heat exchanger going off this plate heat exchanger doing the heat exchange. More on that. And we recognize this compressor. Some of my other customers have replaced these compressors. That's the oil drain hole. You don't just measure the oil by tipping the compressor upside down through the high side and low side discharge point. You literally have to drain the oil through that plug right there. All right, we'll come back to this and we'll see what I find. Let me get my refrigerant analyzer, since somebody's pesky little hands were in there before. Most likely might find some bad stuff. There's the expansion valve back there. It's nice, easy to get to. Semi-easy to change. Nicer than 12 hours under the dash. All right, be back.